Hey everybody, it's Coaster Kaiju, and I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to do a tier list for all the rides in Universal Orlando, including IOA and Universal Studios. A lot of the rides here in Orlando are really intricate and well themed and very thought out and really fun to ride. And this is a personal list, so my list might differ from something you like. You know, I may like Spiderman a lot as an example, and you might give it a B tier, maybe a C. But today we're going to figure out which one is superior, which one is the hallmark, the thing that puts Universal on the map. So without further ado, let's start. Right now, we're going to start with Transformers The Ride 3D. It is a clone of the Spider-Man Scoop vehicle, but nonetheless it boasts its own unique story where you become a recruit of Nest and join Autobots like Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and even Evac, who you fight alongside with to fight Megatron and Starscream and all these other Decepticons for the Allspark, which is the MacGuffin for this ride. I really like this ride. It has a lot of nice sharp turns that actually feel really fluid as it moves through this track and through these sets. And you can really tell that the people who went into designing this ride and building this ride thought a lot about transitions between screens and sets, a lot like the Spider-Man ride, which we'll talk about here in a second. And however you feel about the Michael Bay Transformers movies, this ride seems to be one of the better mediums to tell a short form Transformers story. And the designs of the Autobots and stuff really lend credence to how this ride feels. And you can interpret that however you want to, but it feels like they did capture every beat that they wanted to for this attraction. And ending in that practical effect, Megatron imbued in the ceiling and eyes flashing to fade to a black, it really does offer a good conclusion to the ride's show scenes. So I'd say Transformers The Ride 3D would probably be in, I'd say, A tier for now. We might change that later, but for now we'll say it's A tier. Now the next ride we have on this list is the Dr. Seuss High in the Sky Trolley Train Ride. Now you may not have ridden on this ride, and this might become a shock to you if you have. I actually personally really like this ride. It's like a little people mover situation that they've got going in Disney, but for Dr. Seuss and Universal. It's very well themed to the Seuss branding, and it has nice ride audio. This is something for the family, so the ride audio really does cater towards kids and the telling of Dr. Seuss stories and really what's going on in the land of the Dr. Seuss land. And overall, it's just a really cute ride. It may not be a fast, exhilarating thrill ride, but it serves its purpose here in Seuss Landing. So we're gonna give it, at most I could give it a B tier, but the theming does carry it a lot. Honestly, a nice little family ride, of which Universal doesn't have many of, so it's something for the little ones, and we can appreciate that. Now, next on the list, we have The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. This ride is the predecessor and still standing ride to Transformers The Ride 3D in Islands of Adventure, and this ride really does hit every beat that you want from a Spider-Man themed ride. Residing in the Marvel landing of Islands of Adventure, Spider-Man brings everything to the table. Now you may have seen the POV that I posted of The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, and to everybody that watched that, I thank you so much, because it is one of the top performing videos on the channel, and really did help push me into making more of those POV videos. And The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man deserves every single bit of love and care that every guest gives to it whenever they come to this park, because wow, oh wow, the visuals, the comic book likeness of the queue and ride itself, the homages to Stan Lee hidden in multiple parts of the ride. And one of those homages not being so hidden, with his own voice being recorded at the end of the ride, exiting you off of the ride vehicle. This ride is on the second iteration of its CGI that it uses on its screen, and wow, it looks amazing. Not to mention the voice acting that goes into these characters that they portray on screen. From Spider-Man himself, to Electro, to Scream, to Dr. Octopus, to Hydro Man with his threatening, "You're about to take a dive." I just gotta give Spider-Man his flowers. And many of you may agree with me. This ride honestly takes an S spot because it is just a wonderful execution of a simulator slash set piece ride. Honestly, this is one of my favorite rides over in Islands of Adventure. But note how I say one of my favorite rides, because next we have Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, the Hagrid's Coaster, one of the attractions. And listen, we're just gonna put it straight to S because we know it deserves it. The theming, the speed, the airtime, the ride vehicles themselves, everything comes together and really does offer such a great experience for a roller coaster that, by the way, does not need inversions to give you that thrilling feel that it does. The use of animatronics through the rides, the show scenes when you come into the Forbidden Forest and then you're shot out at crazy speeds. This roller coaster is really in a league of its own. And hold up, let me just fix that order real quick, because I like Spider-Man, but man, that coaster really does give you everything that you want out of it. Next, in Islands of Adventure, we have the Caro-Suess-El. Now this is a little family ride like the trolley ride itself, but it's a nice little carousel. Honestly, it has a lot of capacity in comparison to a lot of other carousels. And again, it's really well themed. But as it's a ride, remember, this being a personal list of my own, you can have it wherever you want on yours. I am going to put this down at C tier because I'm not a carousel guy. I've never really understood, even as a kid, the attraction to carousels, unless they have really compelling features that are different from every other carousel. With this being one of your standard carousels, just themed really well to Dr. Seuss, I can't give it anything more of a C because I can't derive the same experience that some of you might have. So for now, this is going to be a C until maybe one of you guys in the comments could sway me away from that tier. And then next on the list, we have the Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Oh boy. Are there mixed feelings on this ride across the board? I personally love the vertical lift hill. That is a really cool way to start that initial feeling of anxiety and thrill and excitedness. But for me, the rest of the ride kind of takes a cut due to the rumbly and shakiness of the ride itself. Now, I'm not saying Rip Ride Rocket is a bad roller coaster, but I personally don't like it that much, especially since I have other rides I can get on in IOA that offer a much more smooth experience, really good theming. And ever since they cut most of the track list on the roller coaster itself for the different types of music you can listen to, I haven't really felt a reason to go on the ride, which I kind of feel bad for because I know a lot of people do like this. But even though I don't give it that high of a rating, of which I'm going to put it in B tier, I am sad that it's going to be leaving because it is a nice centerpiece to the park and really gives that picture that Universal wants on their web pages, their promotional posts and stuff. But it really isn't a really nice centerpiece. I'm sad that it's leaving, but I'm hopeful for what's replacing it, and we'll learn more to come for what's replacing it. But I have ideas, but that's not what this video is for. This is just to tier up all of the ranks of the rides that I'm going through. Next on the list, we have Woody Woodpecker's Nuthouse coaster, which is now the Troller coaster for anybody that hasn't been keeping up. They have a DreamWorks land back in the back section of the park next to E.T., which is also on this list. We'll talk about that later. That offers now a Shrek meet and greet and a Kung Fu Panda meet and greet and all of these different meet and greets, but this coaster has been rethemed to Trolls. Now, as a kid, this coaster terrified me. You may look at it now and be like, how would that coaster terrify you? What's so crazy about that coaster? Well, the crazy thing for me is that when I rode with my parents, the lap bar never went all the way down. So I was sliding around in the seat and felt like I was going to die in that coaster. But nonetheless, I had a good time. So kid me would give it probably an A because that was the only roller coaster I ever rode. But adult me probably gives this a C. It is a short coaster. Obviously, it's not meant for me. So I give it a C because, well, I'm thinking in the current, not thinking as a child. But as a kid, this would probably be an A. It's really well themed, renowned roller coaster, and I'm happy that Universal is offering more family-friendly experiences. But for my list, it's gonna be a C. Now we've come to the point in which I tell you about the best ride in all of Universal. It offers the thrill. It offers the fun. It offers the wackiness that everybody likes out of Universal rides. I am talking about OneFish, TwoFish, RedFish, BlueFish. No, but in seriousness, OneFish, TwoFish, RedFish, BlueFish is one of those Dumbo the Elephant type rides that you see in places like Disney, and even see those in carnivals that you may see traveling and state fairs. But it is cute and well themed to the Dr. Seuss aesthetic. Every now and then I like to get on there, and there's some water elements on a hot day. It might be nice and refreshing to get sprayed with a little bit of water here and there. But again, it doesn't offer the same type of thrill and craziness that other rides do. So for me, that's going to be another C, because overall it is a short experience. But for my list, I like rides that offer a bit more of the thrill. As you can see with Rip Ride Rocket, I like it in the more comfortable way. Moving into the next one on the list, we have Storm Force, which is a teacup type ride themed after the X-Men. Growing up, I loved the X-Men. I love Spiderman, I love the Fantastic Four, but the X-Men really held a nice space within my brain. I just love the mutant powers and all the characters connected to it, like Wolverine and Cyclops and Gambit. And Storm Force, like I said, it's just a teacup ride, but the voice acting, the sound effects and stuff like that are nice. However, it being a teacup ride, you can only get so much fun out of it. You ride it once, and honestly, that's however many times you feel like you want to ride it, unless you're with kids. And then they probably want to ride it 6 to 8 times. But me, I get on a teacup ride, I ride it once, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of it. So Storm Force, I'm sorry, Mistress Storm, you are the goddess of nature and everything natural, but you are going to have to sit in a cool D-tier. Again, not that big of a fan of teacup rides. They just get me dizzy really easily and sick, so you may have it in a different part of your list, but me, personally, we're keeping it in deer. Did I say deer? I meant D. So next up, we have... oh god. Okay. Universal makes a lot of really good rides. Really well themed, crafted, thrilling. They do mess up sometimes, though. And one big mess up, in my opinion, was Fast and Furious Supercharged. The ride is the same kind of ride vehicle as Skull Island Reign of Kong, and it's themed as a party bus. Now, that in itself is not a bad thing, but the fact that it's tied to Fast and Furious, you don't get the experience that you expect out of something like Fast and Furious. Like, maybe you see the show building, you see Fast and Furious Supercharged, and you're like, whoa, is it like an indoor coaster that has launches every now and then and like does sharp turns, and there's like a whole bunch of like police chasing after you, like you hear the sound of sirens and stuff, and it's just a race through a city or something on a indoor coaster. No, it's a big truck that takes you through a tunnel, that you watch grown men and women hang off a helicopter that is almost just the size of them and surviving things that they should not be surviving. And it's not even well crafted in the sense of CGI. This honestly is a blemish on Universal's face, and I wouldn't doubt it if one day it is replaced with something better that can make use of the space wonderfully. So fortunately, we're gonna put it down in D tier. We don't have an F, so I can't put it in F, but if it were there, I would put it there. Honestly, if we had a tier that said to be demolished, I would put it there too. Next on the list, we've got Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. A ride where you're turned into a minion by Gru and put through the obstacle course to really show that you've got what it takes to be one of his minions. And honestly, I really like this ride. It's a cute little ride that offers motion simulation akin to Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon being the lesser of the two, we'll come to later. And this ride replaced the Jimmy Neutron's Nickelodeon Blast ride. Unfortunately, I liked the Jimmy Neutron's iteration better, mostly because it took use of the IPs that it had from Nickelodeon in a way more fun. But Despicable Me Minion Mayhem actually does offer a nice, fun experience. Just not as much as Jimmy Neutron, in my opinion. So we're gonna put it in B tier. And you know what? I gotta change this because I honestly should put the trolley train behind Rip Ride Rocket. I don't know why it was there to begin with, and behind Despicable Me on the lower tier. Next, we have the Simpsons Ride. It's a fun little ride. It's a motion simulator that replaced Back to the Future. Oh, I miss Back to the Future. But at least Simpsons offers a nice, fun, very funny, comical storyline, where the Simpsons end up winning a raffle to ride a new roller coaster in Krusty Land, but it's taken over by Sideshow Bob while he's trying to kill the family, and it offers a really fun experience. So we're gonna put the Simpsons Ride in the top of B tier, because it's not breaking into that A tier section because it's a motion simulator. Just at the prefaces of breaking into that A tier, but we're gonna keep it at the top of B tier for now because it does offer a good experience. Dr. Doom's Fearfall. Now, personally, I am not a fan of drop attractions. Just the way it makes me feel, opposed to a roller coaster where you're in a constant moving train that's going up and down through hills and stuff and doing inversions. It's weird, trust me. I know, but I don't like drop attractions. However, this one is really well themed. And this one, honestly, better than most drop attractions I've been forced to go on. And also, Dr. Doom is one of my favorite villains of all time. So with that in mind, we're gonna put Dr. Doom's Fearfall. We'll put it above Despicable Me. No, we'll put it above the Trolley right in B tier. Now you may find this confusing because I said I like thrill, I like crazy type rides and stuff, but E.T. is actually going to be at the top of my list. I love a good dark ride, and this isn't just a good dark ride. This is an amazing dark ride. A dark ride that has been open since parks open, may I mind you. This ride has stood the test of time, and it is passing with flying colors. E.T. Adventure offers such a nice, cozy, yet somewhat thrilling type of experience where you join E.T. in an adventure to his home planet to save it from dying using his healing touch. You encounter cops that are trying to stop you along the way. You soar through the sky over the city, seeing that classic imagery of the kids flying past the moon, seeing their shadows cascade across it, and into only what I can consider to be hyperspace, where you go through the galaxy straight to E.T.'s home planet, all on bikes, mind you. It goes through dark show scenes with low lighting, enticing you into the feeling of being hunted down by these police officers and these government agencies, into the vibrant space of E.T.'s home planet. Wow, does this ride really hit for being an almost 35-year-old ride. And for that, it deserves to be an S tier as one of the greatest dark rides of all time. Next, we got Hippogriff's Flight over in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. This is a really nice little family coaster with an amazing animatronic of a hippogriff as you enter the lift hill. It's a short little coaster, but honestly, it offers a really good experience, especially for the little ones. So, as opposed to the Troller Coaster / Woody Woodpecker Nuthouse Coaster, whatever you feel like remembering it as, I'm actually gonna give this a B tier above Dr. Doom's Fearfall, because every element that comes together and gives you this finished project really does work well, and it really immerses you into emulating the flight of a hippogriff. And it's gonna sit there cozy in B tier because I really feel like they did a really nice conversion from when it was known as the Flying Unicorn, when this was all Lost Continent. So yeah, I like it. It's gonna sit there in B tier. Coming up to another one of my favorite attractions over at Universal. This one resides in Universal Studios, and it is Revenge of the Mummy. What an amazing indoor coaster. Awesome show scenes, awesome animatronics. And the cool thing is, this one actually differs from the other two Revenge of the Mummies that exist in other Universal parks, because this one offers the experience of going through the movies as if you were part of the cast and crew, filming within an ancient temple, while the other ones are within the point of view of being in the actual movie itself. Very cool spin on the idea of the mummy, and it really offers for a very unique type of ride. I especially love when you come to a complete stop and it looks like you're in an offloading bay where there's an attractions operator behind the window trying to usher you off the ride, and then all of a sudden they're engulfed by the mummy and then flames erupt on the ceiling and you're sent down into another drop. This ride is going to get a S tier, right below The Adventures of Spider-Man, and it deserves to be up there as one of Universal's flagship attractions. Next, we have Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey over in Islands of Adventure in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And wow, is this an amazing ride. You can tell Universal went all out for introducing Harry Potter into their parks because they put so much love into the queue and the show scenes in this ride. Also developing a new ride system, the Kuka Arm, in order to take you through all these show scenes and erratic movements and into the Forbidden Forest where you're forced onto your back below the Whomping Willow. The only qualm I have is the screen scenes over here in Orlando, because the images don't feel as clear as they do over in the California parks, and sometimes it can be hard on the eyes. And with those faults in mind, I'm going to put it at the top of A tier, because it does hold back the ride a little bit from the immersion of being in a scene when the screens aren't working properly or they are just not as clear, as opposed to the California one, which they have been upkeeping really well in comparison. So this one's gonna have its little seat here at the top of A tier. Now next we have the big one, Velocicoaster over in the Jurassic Park section of Islands of Adventure. Wow is the only word that I can use to explain this ride. In my opinion, this ride is perfect. None of the effects are holding down any of the other, and it all works so well in tandem. Intamin really brought their A game along with Hagrid's coaster to this ride. The launches feel so smooth. There's not a moment of rattle. The inversions are amazing. The Mosasaur roll, insane. It offers so much airtime and it's packed so well and placed so well within the land and offers such a great roller coaster experience for those thrill seekers. The queue is amazing with the statue of the raptors in the confinement cells where they have those muzzles on them. There are animatronics in the queue. It all looks amazing, and it feels amazing being on this roller coaster. So I'm gonna do my due diligence and place it at the top of S tier, as this is one of my favorite rides anywhere. And one of the great things about it is that a lot of other thrill rides don't give you time to think. This ride lets you take in every sight that they want you to see and experience that top thrill. So I think it deserves to be at the top of S tier because it is a world-class ride. Next, we have another personal favorite of mine being Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. This is a log flume type ride where you go with Dudley Do-Right on an adventure to save the damsel in distress Nell from the evil Snidely Whiplash. And trust me, you will get soaked on this ride. Going through all these well-themed cartoon show scenes, culminating in a 75-foot drop at the end into a lagoon, it's just amazing. And it's great during the summertime to have that nice cool down with getting absolutely drenched in water. I honestly love Toon Lagoon as a whole and its theming into those old comic strips, so this one is a big one for me. I'm gonna place Ripsaw Falls over in S tier. Honestly, this might be a little controversial, above The Mummy. And even more controversial, I'd say it's even better than Splash Mountain, because I feel like it does the job of being a water ride even better than most other attractions out there. So Ripsaw Falls gets a nice S tier. Next on the list, we have Race Through New York with Jimmy Fallon. Listen, it is not my favorite ride, because Universal is supposed to be a park where you ride through your favorite movies or even a TV show here and there. And Jimmy Fallon just seems so out of place. It honestly feels like NBC just wanted to stuff Jimmy Fallon into the ride because he's big with the Tonight Show, and they just wanted an IP in there, and it just doesn't work. It does offer some comical scenes, but other than that, I don't think it really captures the right experience for a theme park. So I'm gonna put it in D tier, not below Fast and Furious Supercharged because that ride is a mess, but we're gonna put it below Storm Force, and that says a lot of things. It may be your favorite ride, but personally I just don't feel like it fits in the park at all. But one ride that does fit in the park coming up next is Jurassic Park's River Adventure. This is a classic. I love this ride because it really does feel like you're placed into a Jurassic Park movie. Nowadays, there are a lot of problems with some of the animatronics on that ride, whether or not they're working or anything. Doesn't really matter to me because it still feels like a really good ride. Passing the pack of Stegosaurus to the Parasaurs into the Velociraptor enclosure, and then culminating in the T-Rex just moving into sight and dropping down that insane drop. This ride is amazing. For me, this ride is an easy S tier, above Ripsaw Falls, because coming from the Jurassic Park movies really being a part of my childhood and growing up with it, and then being able to experience the ride will always be a core memory to me. So personally, it has to be up there. Next, over in the Simpsons land, we have another ride called Kang and Kodos' Twirl and Hurl. And I believe it shares the same space as OneFish, TwoFish, RedFish, BlueFish, serving the exact same purpose as a family ride. Not much differences, so it's just gonna go ahead and go in C tier as well. Now, I had to include this ride. Even if it doesn't exist anymore, I had to include it. And I'm not going to mention its replacement because honestly, I'm so disappointed in that I'm not even going to give it credence to existing on this tier list. We have Shrek 4D. In my opinion, one of the greatest theater experiences in a theme park that has ever existed, and it will be missed. Going on that adventure with Shrek and Fiona and Donkey will always be with me and a core memory of my childhood. And especially that pre-show area with Pinocchio in a box and his nose extending through it. I will always remember that fondly. So Shrek 4D has to be an S tier. And that may sound like a meme to other people, but it was really one of the greatest theater experiences in theme park history because it was just so fun. Next, we have Gringotts, an indoor roller coaster over in Universal Studios at Diagon Alley, hosting an amazing centerpiece at the outside of the queue with the giant dragon that breathes fire every now and then. This coaster is honestly really fun because in the same way that Universal puts so much care into bringing stuff like Hagrid's and the Forbidden Journey to life, this ride is also beautifully crafted. Although Gringotts may not bring the same level of thrill as the Mummy or even Velocicoaster, I can't expect it to reach that level of thrill. Its show scenes and their use of screens are actually really well crafted. The only thing that lacks on this ride is its story, because it does feel way too fast-paced for the story it's trying to tell. Villains like Bellatrix and even Voldemort are in this ride, but they're only there for 10 seconds or so, as they seem like such an easy threat to deal with, even though they're some of the most dangerous wizards and witches in Harry Potter. So for that alone, I'm gonna have to bring it down to A, below Transformers the Ride. Because story is very important when you're doing rides like Gringotts. As you can see with the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, it uses its time very well in the pace that it has with its villains in Spider-Man. Gringotts just feels too jumbled, so it finds its seat here in A tier. Moving into the next ride over in Universal Studios, at the back of the park, we have Men in Black Alien Attack. Universal really hit with this ride, doing what it does best with theming and ride design. This ride sits at the top of its class, at the top of its genre of rides where you shoot targets and gain points. All the animatronics, the show scenes, the absence of over-reliance on screens. It just really captures everything this type of ride needs to capture and does it to the next level. And it being 25 years old, it stands up so well. I have a special place in my heart for Men in Black Alien Attack, as it being one of the rides that I've probably ridden the most alongside of E.T. It offers so much replayability, so many strategies you can use to score points, and just honestly, one of the most fun experiences I've had in a theme park. Putting yourself into the shoes of an agent in the Men in Black is just so fun, and the queue is so well crafted. So deservingly, Men in Black is gonna sit right next to E.T. on the S tier. Now we move on to Bluto's Bilge-Rat Barge, a super fun river rapids ride where you go careening through a set of obstacles placed by Bluto, the main antagonist in the Popeyes cartoon, in order to save Olive Oil, Popeye's love interest. As I have said with a lot of other attractions on this list, it is so well crafted and well themed, and it just does everything that it's set out to do. Getting you soaked, having wacky, zany things going on all around every corner, and all around being just a great, fun ride. One of the cooler things being the fact that the ship on the side of Toon Lagoon, being Me Ship the Olive, Popeye's ship that he named after Olive Oil, having an entrance that the ride vehicle goes through at the bottom of it, where onlookers can use squirt guns to shoot at the ride vehicle and the people within it. Even there being a little show scene in the inside with a giant octopus and everything, it's just really cool. So for the creativity and just well-craftedness of this ride, I'm going to give it a tier, right below Forbidden Journey. Next is an oldie that unfortunately is not open anymore, which is Poseidon's Fury in Isles of Adventure in the Lost Continent section. This was a walkthrough attraction that would include actors and screen animation and all of the lights and special effects, and a long tunnel that was comprised of water cascading and turning above you, and it was honestly some really cool effects that all went into how this attraction worked. Now, as I said, unfortunately, this ride is defunct and is currently only the outside queue portion that is still standing, that you can still visit and take pictures by. I have visited this attraction, and let me tell you, it was one of the coolest experiences when it was open, and it will surely be missed. And if you ever have a chance, visit the outside queue portion, take a picture and stuff, because it is very impressive when you walk up to the Temple of Poseidon and see all this architecture and the trident of Poseidon sticking out of the ground and stuff. It's just really, really well crafted. So for this defunct ride, I am going to put it in A tier, right below Gringotts. Next on our list is Pterodon Flyers, the ride that you probably haven't ridden before. Probably because unless you are the parent to a young one, you cannot ride this ride, which from what I know, visiting the parks often, is a little bit of a frustration to a lot of people. But you do have the opportunity sometimes when the Orlando Informer nighttime event happens to be entered into a raffle to be able to ride the ride. I haven't done that, but fortunately I was able to ride the ride when I was a kid, and from the perspective of young me, it is a very cool opportunity to see the inner workings of the Jurassic Park land. Soaring above the Jurassic Park world is a really cool sight to behold, and I'm gonna go with kid me for the rating here, since I can't ride it now and I haven't experienced it since I was a child, and put this at A tier because it is just a great attraction for the young ones, and parents, if you have a child, can experience it too. So hopefully in the future they will allow more types of people to ride this ride, but for now it's a little bit exclusive. So it's going to sit here at the bottom of A tier, and we'll move on to the next ride, which is Skull Island Reign of Kang. Now, earlier I expressed my deep frustrations with Fast and Furious Supercharged, and this is the original ride vehicle that started this all. But the difference between Skull Island Reign of Kang and Fast and Furious Supercharged is that it's actually really well themed, and it's not just a screen. There are show scenes with animatronics. Skull Island Reign of Kang really is the vision of which this ride vehicle works in the best. Currently, right now, the path that leads you through the front of the Skull Island Temple isn't in operation, but when it was one of the coolest scenes to watch unfold as these doors open while you hear the native tribe chant, "Kong, Kong, Kong," moving into the caverns where you see a giant skeleton of one of Kong's predecessors. And on the right side, two bat animatronics that are huge, human-sized. And this ride doesn't have the faults in CGI that Fast and Furious Supercharged has. It's very well executed, and the CGI looks very crisp and is not a pain on the eyes. And after you go through this jungle scene running from dinosaurs with Kong assisting you and trying to keep you safe, you go through a door and see a giant, impressive animatronic of Kong. And oh my gosh, it is one of the most impressive animatronics I have seen, especially at that scale. And the cool thing about it is you can actually feel Kong's breath and the bass of his grunts and growling sounds. You feel it within the car as it rumbles, and it's just amazing. And so Skull Island Reign of Kang, the better of the two versions of this ride, goes to the A tier above Bluto's Bilge-Rat Barge. A very impressive ride indeed, and definitely the hallmark of this ride system. Moving on to everybody's favorite cursed ride, the Cat in the Hat ride in Islands of Adventure, Dr. Seuss Landing. Now, say what you will about this ride, but I used to ride it over and over and over again as a kid, and it really was my favorite ride alongside with E.T. at the time. Now, as an adult, it's a good ride, but it stands to have a little bit more love given to it based on the state of the ride as it is now. It's a fun little story based on the original book, where the Cat in the Hat comes to the house of these two children, causes chaos with Thing 1 and 2, and then eventually notices that the kids aren't really having all that much fun and just helps fix the house. When I was a kid, these animatronics were top of the line, they looked amazing, and then nowadays they are a little bit sluggish and kind of look like they're soulless. So unfortunately, not standing the test of time, Cat in the Hat is one of those rides that desperately needs a facelift. And with all that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and put in B tier above Flight of the Hippogriff. Now transitioning from the family ride to the absolute powerhouse of a roller coaster, the Hulk. It offers such a cool storyline where you volunteer to become a Hulk for experiments and testing, but then go on a rampage and then careen through inversions and crazy runs. The Hulk is one of those classic coasters opening with the park in 1999, with the original story of Bruce Banner trying to stave back the Hulk, but ultimately succumbing to a rampage of his own, with the new storyline coming in 2015, along with enhancements of the track itself. I'll tell you, I absolutely love this ride. The thrill that it offers, the theming on the inside. Listen, I've been saying it the entire time through, I'm a big theming head, and going through Bruce's lab in the queue and everything, and then coming up to the final loading area and seeing the lift hill and everything and all the green lights around you as you're being zapped with gamma radiation just really is a cool part of this ride. The only small complaint that I have is that it gets a little bit rattly and then sometimes you get off of it with a headache, but you sign up for that when you go on a coaster. So the thing I'm happy about is that for me, it's not as bad as Rip Ride Rocket in that sense. So for the Incredible Hulk coaster, we're gonna put it in S tier, right above Jurassic Park River Adventure. And now we move into our last attraction, but certainly not least, the Hogwarts Express. The Hogwarts Express itself is actually a pretty cool concept. It's a way to transport guests from one land in one park to another park while giving you a story that goes along with it and transitions into either Diagon Alley or the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Islands of Adventure. And it's really well executed too. There are scenes where you see Dementors and Hogwarts itself to the bustling streets of London where the double-decker bus is just careening through alleyways and small roads. And it really does its job in keeping you immersed from the transition from Wizarding World to Diagon Alley or vice versa. So as an attraction itself, it's not the thrill ride that everybody's looking for, like Velocicoaster or Hagrid's or the Incredible Hulk coaster. It's a nice little train ride from one park to the other, and that's very, very refreshing to see. So for our last ride, we are going to put it in A tier, right above Pteranodon Flyers. And there you go. That's our tier list, right down from S to D. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Go ahead and tell me what you agree with or disagree with there in the comments. Go ahead and give a like, maybe subscribe if you want to, and I will see you all in the next POV video or maybe even a video like this. Thank you all for watching. I am Coaster Kaiju, and I hope you have a great time out there in the theme parks. Have a good one.